Hello, good morning, and welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge. Well, it looks like YouTube finally got their technical problems worked out because now I'm clicking on go live and it just goes live. Keep restarting it, starting. Going on for over a year, but it hasn't happened in like the last 5 times. So thankfully that's hopefully over. All right, here is Ron Rico. Ron Rico Gold label. I bought this at Winn-Dixie. It was $9.99. I still see it at some places for that price, and you can get a whole handle for $13.99 at one store, at least I know of. Caribbean rum. Shows a cabana out by the beach with a walkway, and there's actually people at the cabana drinking. Kind of clever artwork with the sea behind it. There's a write-up on it. Introduced in 1860 in Puerto Rico. Now there's an important emblem on here. Because this is an emblem representing the fact that in the 1890s, the King of Spain awarded Ron Rico a designation as a rum of Spanish grandees, Spanish royalty. Well, not royalty, I mean nobility, minor nobility. So it's considered a special rum, and they still keep this on the label. Whether that's legally in play anymore, I don't know. But that's back when Puerto Rico was part of Spain. Remember, Puerto Rico and Cuba up until 1898 were part of Spain, just like the Canary Islands are still part of Spain today, as well as 2 African mainland territories. Okay. It says, I can't show you a website, there isn't any, so I'll just read this. It said this rum is a blend of the finest Caribbean rums, which reflect our continued skill and dedication in the making of everyday drops. Every day. Say it's an everyday rum. Okay, it's bottled in Claremont in Frankfort, Kentucky, and I think that clues you in on who the parent company is these days. It was acquired by Seagram's at some point in history, because they were a company like Sazerac today. They went around buying up. Most of the brands they had were stuff they bought up from other people. They were like one of these buyout companies. They did make some of their own. They created some of their own brands like Seagram's VO, Canadian whiskey, Seagram's 7 Crown, American blended whiskey, Seagram's Crown Royal, no longer called Seagram's Crown Royal because they sold it to Diageo in 2000. 1994, when they were in this process of exiting the liquor business, they sold a bunch of their brands, like that Kamchatka vodka I keep showing, and Ron Rico, for instance, to the Jim Beam Company, James B. Beam Distilling Company, now part of Suntory Global Spirits. How it wound up under their umbrella. Just like Sazerac got a hold of a bunch of Seagram's products in 1989 when Seagram sold a bunch of stuff to them, like Canadian Hunter, formerly Seagram's Canadian Hunter, Fireball, which is very popular these days, but it originally was called Dr. McGillicuddy's Fireball, and it wasn't really popular, wasn't marketed right. Dr. McGillicuddy's was and is a line of these specialty liqueurs, and but Sazerac broke it off of Dr. McGillicuddy's and put it as its own brand about 20 years ago, and now it's a big hit thing, you know. This is Kings Bay. It's always been owned by the same people. Kings Bay Tropical Island style. Now, bottles from years ago, when I first started seeing it, was called Kings Bay Island Caribbean Islands rum. But they opened a rebuilt distillery in Glenmore, in Owensboro, Kentucky. It's called the Glenmore Distillery. And they started making rum there at that distillery. I don't know if they make any other liquor there. Last I heard, they started making rum there specifically. So then that was the end of Caribbean rum, and Kings Bay became Caribbean style rum. Now it says Caribbean inspired. rum with natural flavors. So this company, the founder's company, let's say, but that's not really who they are. Alex says, "Good morning, Ron. Cheers, brother. Cheers to you." This company is good about if they're adding flavoring or coloring, they'll tell you right on the label. They changed the label too. It used to be a pretty smarmy, like cheap looking Captain Morgan character on there. It was pretty pitiful looking. You can look it up on the internet, Google image search. They decided to make a more dignified label with like Caribbean plants, tropical plants. Let me make sure I put that on the Ron Rico. Yeah, produced by, yeah, it's no longer produced in Puerto Rico. It's produced by Cruzan International on the island of St. Croix. It says it on the back of the bottle, Cruzan International. Cruzan does a lot of what they call it, contract distilling. Now this one is gold, just gold. That's it, gold, not amber, not nothing else but gold. Nothing else but gold. Do they add coloring? I don't know. Bean doesn't usually talk about if they add coloring or flavoring. They don't really disclose that. This one is very pale. You could probably notice that Kings Bay is very pale, like straw, barn. Just barely a tinge of gold. That's what it looks like when you don't add coloring. I have some whiskeys like that with no coloring added, and they're so pale. Oh, so very pale. But there is a website listing, and I'll show it to you. This is Albertsons, who owns Safeway. So if I looked up Safeway, it would show it. It would be the same format, except right there, instead of saying Albertsons, it would say Safeway. They only sell the big bottles now. They got rid of these 750s. Don't know why. I guess these were bigger sellers, and they figured let's just go with the big seller. Detail, island style gold rum, ingredients, molasses, and also natural flavor, which I suspect is vanilla. Can't put it. About the producer. Now notice it doesn't say the founder's company does it. If you can see it clearly, I don't know if you can see it small, but it shows you who's really making it. There's also a Kings Bay spice rum and the silver. I didn't buy the spice. They don't have any interest in spiced rums, but I'm not opposed to them. I did buy the silver, not the big bottle, the other bottle. I paid $5.99. So stores they currently own. I wish they'd buy this store right close to me, Winn-Dixie. Here's their companies. If you click on any of these, it'll bring you to that store's website. Acme, don't know where that is. Think somewhere up north. Albertsons, which is nationwide, more or less. Albertsons Market, that's probably more specialty. Amigos in the Hispanic areas. Andronico's, Balducci's, Cars, which looks like that's got a Safeway symbol next to it. Hagen, Jewel Osco, that's around Chicago. Been there before in Chicago. King's, Lucky, Randall's, Safeway, Shaw's, Star Market, Tom Thumb, United Express, and United Supermarkets. And also Vons, which I think is real big out in California, but can't tell you because I don't, that's how big Albertsons is. They're like Kroger. They got so much stuff under their belt. Let's type in Kings Bay, see what they show. Kings Bay rum. There you go. And it's $1 cheaper. $1 cheaper. All their stores do not have the same pricing. That's really low that is really low for such a huge bottle, isn't it? And I don't know where this address is. Midway Drive, where is that? No, it's not going to show it. I don't know. Somewhere out in California, I guess. Okay, well, anyway, it's not important. You could, if you live close to a Vons, you could type it in and it will show you what they sell. as far as liquor. Now, of course, some states don't allow liquor sales or even beer sales in grocery stores. Some of those stores won't carry any liquor, beer or wine. It's like Aldi. Go to Mississippi, no beer, wine, or liquor at Aldi. But here they got wine and beer. Go to Trader Joe's, owned by Aldi. They got beer, wine, and liquor. They even have their own brands of liquor. Trader Joe's Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, which everybody says is made by Buffalo Trace. That's the rumor. I don't know. I haven't tried to track it because I never bought it. I don't start tracking stuff until I buy it, because I do that. And I've got 17 unopened bottles of bourbon, so I won't be buying any bourbon soon, maybe ever again at this rate. Now, so far, I've done 6 challenges with King's Bait. I've gotten it right 5 times and got it wrong once. Smells like molasses, real light molasses. Somebody was asking me the other day, what is molasses? She's from Cuba. I'm thinking, you're from Cuba. You don't know what molasses is? But she can't speak English too well, so I say it's from sugar. Next time I see her, I'm going to show her. This is molasses. Oh, it is. Don't know the Spanish word for it. Not much aroma here on my right hand. It's kind of neutral, like nothing happening. Over here, it's got a little character to it, little punch. But still, I don't know. Let's go with the taste. Cheers. Got the sugar cane, sweetness, yeastiness, like most rums have. Man, I tell you, if these are aged 5 months, I'd be shocked. I think they're very minimally aged. They're taking a clear rum, they're putting it in some old oak barrels, probably ex-bourbon barrels. I mean, if it's James B. Beam Distilling, you know where the barrels are coming from, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure they got a lot of ex-bourbon barrels available. One of the biggest bourbon companies in the world. Shouldn't be a problem. Ship it down there to St. Croix Island. Well, who knows? They might ship it raw up here to Kentucky in the United States and age it there. They might just age it there and bottle it. That might be even more convenient. Yeah, I didn't think about that. And of course, Sazerac, the founder's company, so-called. No shortage of ex-bourbon barrels on hand over there. Now this one has a little bit more just like alcohol taste, like 40% alcohol. It has some rum, it has some, it has some molasses, has the oak, has the yeast, but it's like lower levels of that, and a higher level of just like some people might say rubbing alcohol, but it isn't wood alcohol. Of course, it's sugar alcohol. But it's not bad. But I'm glad I only paid $5.99. Ron Rico got a lot more character, and it seemed like more aging. So I'm saying this is Ron Rico, and it is darker looking, isn't it? Got my tag. Yeah, that's it. So 6-1 now. 6 wins, 1 loss. Man, Ron Rico, from what I understand by doing research, was a big brand back in the 70s and 80s, and started to fade in the 90s after it was sold to Jim Beam Company, James B. Beam Distilling. Seagram's used to have so many advertisements in the magazines back when lots of people read magazines. There wasn't the internet to look up stuff, right? Or newspapers. So, man, they had so many ads, and they're pretty interesting advertisements. And they even had a sweepstakes where I was talking about that yesterday, where you could win a car. The grand prize, you could enter, you might just win like a tablecloth set, the top 1,000 win a tablecloth set. And then the top 5 winners, first place, they might win like a little liquor cabinet, like a portable, and they're really nice. And then the grand prize was a Pontiac Trans Am, and I think there was only two winners of that. Like the grand prize went to two winners. It was like a 1981 Trans Am gold, or you could win a silver Trans Am. You know, you picked. Now I don't know if both of them. Maybe there was just one grand prize winner. I think that's what it was. Yeah, and then you could choose. Did you want a silver or a gold? That's right, because you might like the silver rum better or something. You remember Pontiac? They went out of business in 2010. The last Pontiac produced was a 2010 Vibe. Remember the Pontiac Vibe? It was a mimic, a rebadge of a Toyota Corolla Matrix. It was identical to a Toyota Corolla Matrix, but they just put Pontiac emblems on it, and it was registered as a Pontiac. Really good car too. My neighbor's got across the street's got a 2010 Corolla Matrix, and she still drives it. She barely ever has problems with it. She doesn't go anywhere, so she hardly has any miles. She goes to see a few things, but that car is from 2010. I bet you it doesn't have 50,000 miles on it. Drewski Brewski says, tasty liquor. You should watch the movie Run, Ronnie, Run. I don't watch movies, Drewski. I'll tell you the truth. It's a very funny movie. I don't watch movies. I just watch the news and sports, and this is the truth. And beer reviews, beer, wine, and liquor reviews. I'm so backlogged on those. I was watching some people in England, in Wales. Their channel's called Welsh Cockney. And they reviewing Dobb. You know, Dortmunder Aktienbrauerei. They're that great beer from Germany. Carlo Palmerigio says, beautiful Tuesday morning, fellas. Rainbows, fleur-de-lis. Yes, it is a beautiful Tuesday. Clear. It's cold, though. I went walking. I was cold. Woof. All right. Louisiana's too cold for me. I'd like to live in a warm state. I mean, we're mostly warm, but I'd like to live in a really warm place like Miami. But I would have to leave all my family, as I wouldn't want to do that. It's a winner. Does it rival Bacardi? Well, I would say yes. You know, your Bacardi, Gold, your Cruzan, you know, those major brands. I don't think there's a Captain Morgan Gold. There's a Captain Morgan Silver, though, that they claim was introduced in 2014, but they used to make a Captain Morgan White. They used to call it Captain Morgan White rum back in the 70s. I found an ad for it, old advertisement. But for some reason, it got discontinued at some point, probably when Diageo was trying to figure out what they wanted to do. Not Diageo, I mean Seagram's. Yep, another brand, Seagram's own Captain Morgan, and then they sold it to Diageo. And then Diageo brought back the silver. They call it they call it Captain Morgan White these days. I had it backwards. In the 70s, they called it Captain Morgan Silver. Was it similar? Most probably it was, but I don't think it's that difficult to come up with a silver rum. I mean, obviously the production process is complex, but for a liquor company, it wouldn't be anything difficult. So I've never brought a Louisiana rum on this channel, and they make them here. They do. But I never brought one. I never bought one, in fact. But I might, one day I probably will. I've heard good things about them. They're not really well known, but they're around. Okay, so last comment on Kings Bay. It has a pleasant enough flavor. It's pretty bland. It's clearly made for mixing. Probably around Rico as well. I mean, isn't that what most people buy rum for anyway? Mixing. How many people drink rum neat at room temperature? I don't think too many people. Or vodka. There's another example. How many people buy vodka and sip it at room temperature neat? I don't think too many. They're more like utilized for mixing cocktails, highballs, things like that. But, You can do it. You can sip it at room temperature. It's not a sin. It's not immoral. It's strange, I guess. Um, but this is all right. It's fine. It gets a B. Good, like a 8.2, 8.3. Yeah, I wouldn't even go to B minus. It's not like sort of good. It's just like good, but not very good. Not a B plus. No way. It's not objectionable. And for $5.99, I'm glad I've only paid $5.99. So if you find the big bottle for $12.99, yeah. And obviously people are buying it left and right. That's why it's always stocked. It's always in stock. And they used to have something called Albertsons rum, Albertsons brandy, Albertsons gin, Albertsons this, Albertsons that. But those all disappeared suddenly. And it probably had a lot to do with the buyouts. You're not going to sell Albertsons rum in a Shaw's grocery store or a Bonds. That would confuse the customer. So they knew that there was already Kings Bay, which Safeway owned. So they just made it available in all their stores. And then Albertsons was discontinued. I saw it even up to last year, some lingering bottles. I'm sure they had a warehouse full of the stuff. And then they finally sold it off. And it was always on super discount, trying to get rid of it. So, yeah, that happened there. So now if you go to Albertsons, there's no store brand called Albertsons liquor or anything. Albertsons vodka. It's all these kind of names, most of which are owned by one of either them or their subsidiary. The trademark is owned by them. Just like if you go to Walmart, there's Caliber rum, Caliber gin, Caliber vodka, Caliber American blended whiskey, Caliber Canadian. I hadn't seen Caliber tequila yet, but I wouldn't be shocked if it showed up. That's owned by Walmart. It says trademarks registered to Walmart. It's a nice looking label. It probably wouldn't go over so well if they called it Great Value Rum. They could, because that's their brand, Great Value Rum, right? But they call it Caliber like it's something different, But if you research it, it's owned by Walmart. There also used to be a Caliber rum at Walmart, but I haven't noticed any for a while here. Oh, yeah, it's there. It's there. I mean, yours, I don't know what's going on in your area, but when I was at Walmart the other day, they had a whole shelf of it. Oh, yeah, bunch of it. A bunch of it. Mm-hmm. And their new Caliber American blended whiskey, that just came out within the last month. It just hit the stores. Maybe they watched my video. I seriously doubt it. But I was saying on one of my previous videos, I said, why Walmart doesn't come out with an American Caliber whiskey? They got a Canadian one. I mean, Walmart is an American store. It seems to me they would have an American whiskey, And then I'm telling you, a month after I made that comment, and I mean, there is no connection. We know that. But there it was on the shelf, Caliber American blended whiskey. I said, what do you know? I couldn't get over that. We had a VG's. I don't know what a VG is. Is it a grocery store? I'm in St. George, Louisiana. Oh, Carla, where is that located? I'm not familiar with that town. Oh, is that by Baton Rouge? And it broke away from Baton Rouge, became its own city, town. Right there by like Perkins Road. I think that's where it is. Yeah, that's right. St. George Catholic Church. It used to be a neighborhood of kind of an outlying area of Baton Rouge in East Baton Rouge Parish, and then they voted to become their own town. And Baton Rouge was fighting it. The city was fighting it, but then the state said, "Well, it does actually allow for that in their city charter or whatever. You can do that. You can't stop them if they voted for it." And they voted for it. Aldi and Walmart is all we got, says Brewski. Really? Yeah, we broke away from Baton Rouge. That's right. Still part of Baton Rouge, East Baton Rouge Parish, but no longer part of the city of Baton Rouge. Yeah, I've been around there before. I guess Segan Road, Segan Lane, sorry. Segan Lane runs through there. And there's a Total Wine and More on Segan Lane now, a new one, right by the Interstate 10. Yeah, I bought that Jim Beam pre-prohibition style rye over there, which is now discontinued, but I got a good deal on it. For whatever reason, they had it over there for $17.49. It was a lot cheaper than all the rest of the stores. So on the way back from Texas 3 years ago, I stopped off and bought it. I knew they had it in stock, and they had it. And then last year they discontinued it. They replaced it with a new Jim Beam rye, which I think is the old Jim Beam rye that they brought back. Confusing me, Jim Beam. Y'all confusing me. Drewski Brewski said I'm in Michigan. Oh, Michigan. Cold. Mm-mm-mm. Decent product. Nothing to chase down, but nothing to avoid, I'd say. Nothing to chase down, nothing to avoid. It's okay. It's all right. We had a Michigan beer reviewer who passed away last year, if y'all remember. Anyway, I've been to Michigan. I went to the Detroit Tigers game there in 2003. Or was it 4? No. It was 2002. My daughter went with me, and she was bored to death. She was reading a book. She doesn't like sports. Then I went back in 2003 with my friend Paul. He wanted to see it. 2004, 2 years later, with my friend Paul. He wanted to see it. He was like, "Oh, it's a great stadium, you know." And then I went back solo in 2014. Nobody wanted to go. Well, the people that wanted to go couldn't go, and the people that could go didn't want to go. You know how that works. But I said, if I wait for y'all, I'll never go anywhere. So I went to Michigan again, and I went to see the Tigers in 2014. And I was like, man, this was a really great stadium. It's been open 25 years now. Jack Cottrell says, nice morning. I'm Michigan on the lake shore. My grandmother's first cousin used to live way at the top of Michigan in a place called Cross Village. It's very tiny. Cross Village. He lived way up there. He died, you know, but he was very friendly. You know, I met him a few times. His name was Kurt. And I don't know why he left New Orleans to go live in Cross Village, Michigan. He had very bad eyesight. He wore glasses, but he was really blind. I don't think he was allowed to drive because he couldn't see. I mean, he could see to get around his house, you know, with these thick glasses, but he couldn't really see, you know, but really friendly guy, you know, really friendly. But he lived up there, kind of like a recluse, a hermit. But that's how some people like to be, you know. They wanted to be left alone. He liked it. You know, I guess he was married. I think he was married, whatever. But he liked it up there, you know. And I remember when he was, to me, like he was young, you know, like kind of a beatnik looking person, you know, back in 1969 or whatever, you know, with the little chin, like the guy on Dobie Gillis. But you've been there, you've been up there, you've been to Cross Village. Nice morning. I'm in Michigan. Oh yeah, all right. So anyway, cheers to Michigan. Cheers to Louisiana viewers. Cheers to everybody. Have a great Tuesday. I'm going to walk and say the rosary. All right. Or pray the rosary more than say it, right? You know, you don't want to be just you make a worthless recitation. You want to really mean it. But, you know, our minds wander. We have tendency to have a wandering mind. I do. But my mind is usually racing a mile a minute. I'm working on one thing. I'm thinking about what I'm going to do 3 things away. Somebody asked me yesterday at work, what's wrong? I said, I'm thinking. There wasn't nothing wrong. I was thinking about what I got to do. I was trying to keep things organized. I was thinking I got to do this, that, and like the third thing I have to do. This wasn't anything wrong. I was trying to concentrate on what I needed to get done because then I would forget. All right, well, y'all take care. Bye-bye, everybody. The winner is the venerable Ron Rico, which means rich rum. Carlos says, God bless, fellas. Same to you. Take care, everybody. Peace to everybody. Peace be with you.